Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Variant Cast, with Daredevil Born Again being a massive success and Fantastic Four quickly approaching. People are excited for the MCU again, so we're going to be talking some Avengers Doomsday news, the big culmination event, which will hopefully have all of these heroes entering through some sort of portal, all onto some orange/gray battlefield where they will do battle with presumably Doctor Doom. But we're going to be talking about all the news that has come out for it so far and see if any of what we're hearing is actually going to be accurate, as the Russo Bros they are motivated to avoid leaks, which Marvel has been notorious for leaks as of the recent films, but who knows? Maybe the Russo Bros have something up their sleeves. Trent, what do you have up your sleeves today?
Well, I got some Marvel baseball cards that, have each character and how many movies they have left on their contract, because, I actually stole that from the Russo brothers after they stopped by. But so
they don't lock their doors. So no, it was really easy in and out. Yeah.
Very, very easy. But yeah, so as we know, the Russo brothers are filming or are taking up the task of heading these next two Avengers movies, and they've probably been knee deep in scripts and concept art that's been tested for the movie. I'm sure that there's a million different ideas that are being thrown at them each day, but supposedly they're starting to film the movie. Supposedly they're getting the crew back together. Chris Hemsworth, I think, was spotted on the set. I know that Benedict Cumberbatch is supposed to be over there filming soon. They're filming over in London. So usually I feel like they just probably got a bunch of sound stages over there. They said that they picked the location that they're filming in because they're trying to prevent leaks, like you said, Ty. But they're probably just filming in a warehouse. Let's be honest. They're probably just filming in a green screen warehouse. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see if anything escapes. We have had a couple leaks so far. There's been some concept art of a medieval Hulk world that looks almost World War Hulk-esque, which is kind of weird. Maybe they're doing like an alternate timeline type of thing. There was a picture of, I think it was Hulk, She-Hulk, and Hulkling all in this city that was just like all Hulks. So that was interesting. But they did come out and say that none of that concept art is real. Even though that the concept artist that did those was a contracted Marvel concept artist, so who knows what's true. We also know that the Russo brothers do this every time they do a Marvel movie. During Avengers Endgame, they constantly said that the title of the next Avengers movie was not going to be Endgame, and then at the last minute they're like, yeah, it's Endgame. Like, why wouldn't it be Endgame? And it was like, okay, so who knows what to believe. I think that they've been asked, are any X-Men going to show up in the movie? And they've said, who knows? Anybody in the entire Marvel bag can show up in this movie. So I'm definitely think that the Hugh Jackmans, the Ryan Reynolds, the Andrew Garfields of the world, all those people are going to be contractually obligated to show up to the warehouse to film the big battle scene for Avengers Doomsday. But I think that Star-Lord is probably a safe bet. I think that he's probably still got like a movie or two left in his contract, and I know he's been asked, and he's said, I want to finish out the Star-Lord journey. And, now that, the next big bad is going to be obviously on Earth. Star-Lord's going to be on Earth. He's going to be, wondering what Doctor Strange is up to when he sees that the world's under threat. So I think that he's definitely going to show up. they've said that Avengers Doomsday is a beginning story, as Avengers Infinity War and Endgame were an end story. So I think that probably what that means, we haven't met Doctor Doom, so obviously that means this is going to be his almost origin story and kind of finding out what his motivations are and stuff like that, and probably setting up for Secret Wars. But unlike the Thanos who was teased like for many phases, I feel like it's going to be different in just the fact that they're going to have to flesh out this whole story, because I guess I'm talking like we haven't had Ultron, who was developed in one movie, but having to develop as big of a villain as Doctor Doom is in like a movie or two is going to be quite the task. But they did say that they've found a way into the story that is kind of like unexpected and might kind of like turn some heads, and said that hopefully fans are going to be on board with it, which means maybe they're trying to do something a little bit different, which I'm game for. I know people have said, the Russo brothers have fallen off since Endgame. The Russo brothers haven't had a good movie since Endgame. Every single movie of theirs has been a flop. But I mean, I feel like they're just gonna hopefully be right at home in the MCU, and hopefully just step back into the shoes of being able to task the giant movie that is these next Avengers movies.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like one of those things where people say, "Oh, is this a good movie? Is it a good Marvel movie?" Like they're kind of separate things. I think there's such thing as like a good director and a good Marvel director. They're, as Martin Scorsese has famously said again and again, they're not real cinema because they are something else. And that's fine. I think they have their own merit. But I think it takes a different skill set to make a Marvel movie, especially like an Avengers movie, than it does anything else. So I think it's very possible they took what they, had from Endgame and they tried to bring that over to other movies and it just didn't work. But maybe, back in the Marvel Studios sphere of influence, like you said, they'll be right at home and be able to get right back to where they need to be. So I think there's reasons to be excited for it. I think there's reasons to be concerned. I think Robert Downey Jr. as Doom is still a weird pick. It's almost something that we forget for a second. We're like, oh, it's going to have Dr. Doom in it, but not necessarily, oh, that's Robert Downey Jr., the guy that's been Iron Man for the better part of 2 decades. It's kind of strange that he's just the main villain and he's a different guy now. So I feel like they got to handle that somehow. Maybe that's just by him never taking off his mask. Maybe that's by doing some anchor being stuff. Who knows? But I think that's a compelling part of this story. And I think that's what the first Doomsday is probably going to deal with. I think they have a good setup here. If they can do the proper development in the first movie, and then they're able just to do the, in-game, throw everything at the wall style. We already know who these characters are. Let's have fun with it. I think where my concern is the biggest is we don't have a real Avengers team. This movie's called Avengers, and I think everyone is kind of picturing in their head the old Avengers team when they think of an Avengers movie. But I have no idea what to picture in my head when I think of the Avengers assembling for this film. Is it just every character that has appeared on screen popping out of a portal or some weird vortex, or is it an actual team that gets established in the first half of the movie? I think that would be more intriguing for me. And then having that team fail and then have to rebuild for the second one. I think more likely it's going to be some multiversal shenanigans. It's going to be multiversal Avengers. We're going to get old Steve Rogers back. Well, not old Steve Rogers, but, Steve Rogers. I think that there's a good chance of that. Probably a good chance of Johnny Storm, Chris Evans, and the new Johnny Storm and Captain America, something with that. I think there's a lot of ways that they could take this, and there's a lot of ways that it could be bad. Probably more ways it can be bad than ways it could be good. We just got to hope that they're down the path with the good ways.
Yeah, we just got to hope that, they do enough test screenings, which they probably won't, to, get this movie in shape to where they want it, and get it on par with the quality that they've been putting out with Daredevil Born Again.
When they were asked how Doomsday and Secret Wars differ from Endgame, they said, "We're telling a beginning story." That was the quote. A beginning story, whatever a beginning story is. That's what Doomsday is. I don't know if that includes Secret Wars being a beginning story, but I guess beginning is the theme.
Yeah, some people could speculate that could mean, a soft launch or a soft relaunch of the MCU, a soft reboot, or, or just talking about Doctor Doom like I was talking about. I think that was probably more talking about Doctor Doom than, like revamping the MCU, because I know that the Secret Wars event, the 2010s one, that one like kind of rebooted the whole Marvel universe and just took everything that they liked from all the comics and just mashed them together. So like, I'm kind of hoping that they don't do that, because I do want to see like fresh faces for like the X-Men and stuff like that. Don't necessarily, you don't need a new Tony Stark right now. Like, we could wait, another couple years. But yeah, I don't really see the argument of it being like the start of a new rebooted MCU.
I think I think how I interpret it is that it's a start of a new Avengers. Like, this is a new Avengers team. I honestly forgot that Hulkling existed until you said that thing with the concept art, and just made me think of like, oh wait, have they addressed this in universe or in the comic? Who's Hulkling's mom? On Sakaar, right?
Yeah. There's a couple different Hulklings. I forget who, because the Hulkling I was thinking of was like Amadeus Cho, and he's like an Earthling who became, but
in She-Hulk, when they bring back Hulkling, isn't it like, oh
yeah, his name was something.
We're checking on this. I don't think this is going to hold any significance because they don't seem to care about Hulk like that. But I mean, it should. Old child, like, I don't know who the mother would be.
So it says in the comics, his parent or his mom is a Kree.
So
maybe she's. Wait. So it says that he's She-Hulk's brother, meaning she's not related to Elaine Banner Walters. Is the mother of She-Hulk and the aunt of Bruce Banner, meaning she's not related to Hulkling. What is it? Okay.
Who knows? I mean, the Marvel Universe will most certainly be different. Maybe it's someone he impregnated when he was in Bruce Banner mode during like those few moments in Ragnarok where he was wrapped in some cloth. He slipped it in and got the job done in those few moments. Or maybe it was when he was in Hulk mode, which makes it even more questionable. Who knows? But those are questions that will probably never get answered. Questions that we probably have answers to is there's probably not a Scarlett Johansson in this next Avengers movie. She is very adamant that Natasha Romanoff is dead. She is dead, okay? Which, could be confirmation that she's not coming back, or could be her just trying to misdirect classic Andrew Garfield. But I don't know if there would be like a big like applause moment if maybe I don't know, probably not.
You see, if they're bringing back, like, if they're just like, if you're just like overwhelmed with how many characters they're bringing back, like, I don't know if Natasha's gonna necessarily get a big reveal, but if like, I don't know, at the end of Thunderbolts or something, she was revealed to be alive, like, I feel like that would get something. Or like,
yeah,
like for me, at the end of Black Widow, when Yelena goes to her grave, like that moment, if she would have stepped out, I would have been like, damn, okay. Even though it wouldn't have really. I mean, they could have made it make sense, but like I don't know if bringing her back during the middle of all of these other cameos it's gonna get the bigger reaction.
I don't think, and I think the Russos are smart enough. I think the Russos are online enough as well that they're aware of the kind of disdain for the applause cues now. I think those have kind of run their course, especially I think they hit their peak during No Way Home.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
So like I think we're going to get less of those moments. It's going to be probably a more grounded story until the third act. That's kind of just what I expect from what they've said. Is they haven't been hyping it up as this is going to blow everyone's mind. What's going to happen? They like they said, this is a beginning story. So that makes me think it's going to be a bit more toned down, as Florence Pugh says, a A24 feeling, which she was describing the Thunderbolts when she said that. But it's just a funny adjective to put to a movie that's not produced by A24 at all. Just an A24 feeling.
Yeah. And then did you see the trailer that they came out with the Thunderbolts where it was like cinematographer from this?
Oh yeah.
And then it was just like all these like these like cult classic movies or like all these like indie films that people love, and it's like, yep, our film's going to be just like this. It's like, we'll see.
Which it feels like that's very much the direction that they're going for Thunderbolts, but it's just kind of curious direction.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily dislike it, but I don't know. It's just a weird way for Marvel to go, but hey, who knows?
Yeah.
We got anything else, or is that kind of our...
I think that's pretty much it.
Did you want to talk any about just kind of your thoughts on Daredevil Born Again? I haven't gotten to it yet, but it sounds like you were pretty well enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
And they're filming season 2 outside in New York, the 11th of March, which was a few days ago as of recording.
Oh yeah. Yeah, another character that is supposedly going to be in Avengers is Daredevil. Charlie Cox's gym, came out. Somebody at his gym was like, "Oh yeah, he's training to be in the next Avengers movie." We haven't heard from Charlie Cox himself, probably because of NDAs. But according to people at Charlie Cox's gym, he is training to be in Avengers, whether or not he has actually gotten the call. But
and just more fuel to that fire after that got like picked up. The gym did change it to be like training like a superhero or training to be a superhero, basically confirming that they were not supposed to say that.
Yeah. But sticking on the Daredevil topic, the new season just came out. I believe there's 3 or 4 episodes out, and I'm really loving it so far. It's like a perfect continuation of the old series, but it also just fits perfectly in the MCU. I feel like it knows exactly what it is. It doesn't try to overextend itself. It stays grounded. It keeps the grounded feeling that people have been wanting from this side of the MCU, and there's a lot of cool shots in it, as well as a lot of just like character development that happens, and seeing kind of like the Daredevil cast and seeing Hell's Kitchen after a while, or after being away from it from a while. It really makes you appreciate that side of Marvel a little bit more, and they do a great job of keeping suspense up in, like, at the end of the first or second episode. Like there's just like a scene that's just so classic Netflix Daredevils, and I was just like, oh my god, we're so back. This is insane. And then just everything that they're doing, just like, I feel like every episode kind of leaves on a cliffhanger, kind of classic Marvel, classic MCU TV show fashion, and it works. And like you said, they're filming season 2 right now, which they announced in the beginning. They said, it's an 18 episode Daredevil show. And so what they really meant was that's going to be 2 seasons, but I hope that, them filming it back to back, there's going to be a good continuation of story there, and hopefully it'll give them enough time before the next series comes out to hopefully, set up for the future. And I know that they said that they're bringing back Jon Bernthal as the Punisher, and he's coming back as Frank Castle for like a Marvel Studios special presentation thing for whatever that may be. And he said, the Punisher comes back for a very specific reason. And there's a good storyline in this series of like dirty cops, or like people wearing like the tattoo Punisher, or the Punisher tattoo on their arms. And so kind of just like delving into kind of like some real world topics. And I think having some commentary on that, straight from Frank Castle, the Punisher, I feel like is going to be sick.
Yeah, no, I like that. There's always been like a weird meta thing that you'll see, like you said, cops use the Punisher logo, or there'll be a thin blue line Punisher logo, and it's just like, I don't think you guys really know Punisher like that if you're putting him up there. So I think that's a really interesting kind of meta story to tell. And I heard it's not going to be Punisher light. It is going to be gory, which is not necessarily a first for the MCU, but I think this is going to be the next step of that, because they're trying to rebrand a bit over there, get a bit of an A24 feeling to everything. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you all for listening this far. If you have any recommendations on anything you'd like us to check out, any movie reviews you would like us to drop, just put them in the comments below. We'll get to them. I promise you that. Other than that, thank you. And please subscribe. We would appreciate that dearly. You got anything else for us, Trent?
No, we appreciate you all for listening and tuning in to listen to us babble about the future Avengers movies. And we know it's going to be a cultural event. Just hopefully it's a good one, and not one that we look back on like we do kind of No Way Home, where we're kind of just like, was this as good as we thought it was when it was released?
Hey, you can't take away the theater experience.
It's true.
We could look back at the film now and be like, but you can't take away the initial experience. So
it's true. At
the very least, I hope this has a fun initial experience that we can feel good about.
Yeah, same. Not like episode 9. The Skywalker saga.
That one I felt. Yeah. Appreciate y'all.
Yep. Peace. Deuces.